with me.
Okay, it looks like we're now streaming live on YouTube, so we should be ready to go. Looks like Steph is holding back a sneeze just after she pressed the button. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good to see you. Welcome to the Community Center Select Steering Committee meeting for Thursday, October 12th, 2023. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I'll just look to our clerk to see if there are any late items for this agenda.
I do not have any late items.
No late items today, so I will look to the committee for a motion to approve the agenda for October 12th. Moved by Councillor Getty, seconded by, don't everybody jump at once, by Jillian. Thank you very much. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
That carries. Moving on to public comments. Are there any public comments today, Steph?
Nope.
Okay, great. Moving on to item 4, updates. 4.1 construction update from our Chief Administrative Officer. Liam, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So as you will have seen, we met about a month ago, and so there's been further progress on the building envelope, more exterior cladding going on, more work on the roof. Unfortunately, the roofing material has not yet been put on, and not exactly sure why that hasn't happened, but I know that they've been putting insulation on the roof, and then there's also some challenges or more complicated roof angles in the sort of interior of the roof. Where the different roof profiles come together. But that's something that we've been encouraging the constructor to try to speed up if they could before the rains come. Inside the building, there's a ton of activity happening. Almost all, if not all, of the interior insulation is now in, and it really changes the feel of the building. You can really feel that it's starting to take more shape. And drywall is going up, so that means that all of the electrical and plumbing and mechanical, or the majority of it, is now done. That's usually hidden behind the walls. There's still electrical, mechanical, and plumbing work to be done as finishing work, for fixtures and the like. And then the next big sort of phase really is glazing and doors and things like that too. So there's a lot of exciting work happening inside the building, and a lot of the more what do I call it? Unique finishes or equipment is also being ordered now, and and we should hopefully be receiving some of that equipment on site in the near future too. Although storage may be something that we have to figure out where we're going to store some of those things, but essentially we did have a meeting with the constructing company, the architects, and our consulting firms just a couple of weeks ago about schedule, because we really want to dive in to the schedule to have a very clear understanding of when the project is going to achieve completion. The constructor is saying the end of January would be when handover would take place, but did acknowledge that that is an ambitious schedule, and my concern is that it won't take much for that schedule to slip because of bad weather or ferry disruption or things like that. And so we are conscientious that it is likely to be later than January, but we're now really focused in on that schedule, and we'll be revisiting it quite frequently as we get closer. One of the big elements of the project that we're focusing on now, it's not really a construction element, but rather it's the handover documentation and all of the binders and all of the information that will need to be developed and provided to us when the facility actually becomes ours. So Jillian, did you want to add anything to that? I probably missed a bunch of key things.
Just one big one, which is about the HVAC system and the air handling units that are the smaller units that are for regional air. They're starting to go in now too. So we're seeing those in the weight room and the fitness studio, and near the living room. So those are all going in now as well.
Great. But I did note that so there's been lots of feedback that we've gotten on the oil canning, and there was a note here on the agenda that the oil canning assurance to be provided as a light item. Do we have an update on that? I understand that we did have some communication with contractors or architects. Is it possible to speak to that?
Hey, let me just double check my email, because I did email them, the architects directly, and asked specifically to respond in writing about that. So we know we had verbal confirmation in various meetings about that, and there's been several conversations about it actually. I don't seem to have an email response yet, but I will circle back and ask to get that. But I know we've had several conversations about it and have been assured more than once that it is an aesthetic issue and that it is not a building envelope performance issue. Okay.
And that's been with architects and contractors, or just architects? Just
both architects
both.
And the our project management and the contractors themselves, the constructors themselves. Okay,
great, thank you. Any questions from the committee to the CAO on the construction update? Jamie Schaefer.
Hi everyone. Do you have an update on the concrete inside, the interior concrete, and how are you going to rectify that situation?
So the concrete inside is something that was a bit of a challenge because of the footprinting, and the constructor was directed to provide remedies for it, and so they did. Just I'm reiterating things here because I don't know that we've talked about this as a whole in this open format. And so there was a lot of footprinting on some of the concrete areas, and that was ground down. Initially, a little grinding to see if that would resolve it. Some of the shadows of the footprinting was remaining, and so the constructor continued to grind down further, and we did go on site. I think it was just last week to see the results of that, and we're satisfied with the results, and it has actually resolved the issue. There will be some other elements that still need to be taken into consideration with that. The depth of the grinding required to get to the adequate, any concrete floor would have to be ground down for achieving adequate flatness and levelness. Those are two different things. You can have flat but not level, or you can have level but not flat. And so when we're grinding to the depth that we need to get rid of those footprints and achieve the levelness and flatness, it may create some unique transition requirements from one area into another area, one room to another room that doesn't have concrete. There may be a minor elevation change. And so we need to make sure that the transitions are addressed properly there. So we've been digging deep into that. Pretty happy with the outcome and the resolution, so feel good about that.
Great. Just looking around the screen for any further questions here. I don't see any, so I'll move on to item 4.2, the communications update from our Manager of Recreation and Community Services. Over to you, Jillian.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm speaking on behalf of Janet because she's unable to join us today for this. So you may have all noticed the latest communication that came out. It was attached in the agenda as well, had quite a different tone and style than some of the previous communications. So part of the main driver for this was hands down, every single person who comes on that site and goes for a tour and starts to see the building taking shape and think about all the things that are going to take place in this building, everybody comes out of that really excited and really passionate and really starting to feel that this amazing facility is imminent and getting really, really excited about. So we tried to capture the essence of that in the communication because it's like I say, hands down, every single person comes out of there really, really excited. So we tried to have the communication see it all from their eyes and them envisioning the programs they're going to run and all the different user groups that'll be in the space, because it's everybody's starting to see it now. It's been, the theatrical and the performing arts community have long been envisioning how they're going to use the space. Various recreational instructors and other people too are easily imagining it. But now there's groups, representatives from different user groups that are coming on site, and even including like the garden club, for example, and the choirs and everybody now. It's just becoming alive and exciting, and we wanted to really try and capture that feeling. So the idea is that there'll be more frequent communications coming out now as we sort of switch a little bit into planning the operations and envisioning the activation of the space, trying to capture that community vibe and excitement. So that was the main thing she wanted me to communicate.
Any questions about that from committee members? Don't see any, so I will move on to item 4.3, a fundraising update from our fundraising coordinators. Jackie and Shelley, over to you.
Thank you. Just jump in here. Yeah, so since we last met, fundraising efforts have included a focus on those organizing the tours, as mentioned by Jillian, as we continue to liaise with both donors and supporters of the project. And yeah, I just want to say that we can't understate Jillian's comment about the communications in terms of the impact these tours have had. For people who've been able to attend and realize that vast potential for activities and uses of the community spaces. So we're seeing, people taking on the role of champion for the project. We're seeing those in comments online and social media. It's really exciting because we really know that we are engaging people and really connecting with them through these little tours that we're doing. So we're continuing with those. We're also working on the launch of our end of year fundraising campaign as we move towards the festive and giving seasons. And as individuals are considering the advantages of receiving tax receipts for their support of good causes such as the community center. So we'll again be promoting the seat sponsorship opportunity for $2,500. An engraved nameplate will be attached to one of the retractable seats with your name or dedication to someone else. And to date, about 24 seat sponsorships have been claimed. And we just hope to inspire those who maybe struggle with finding the right gift for certain friends or families on their list with a solution that is unique. It gives them tons of enjoyment as they'll attend concerts, performances, and other events in the Performing Arts Auditorium, and that will literally support the community for years to come. So keep an eye out as we invite Islanders to come take a seat as we move closer to opening night at the community center. So really, that's it. A short report from me, unless Shelley has anything to add or you have any questions.
You covered it, Jacqueline. Thanks.
Okay, just looking around the room here for questions. Don't see any, so we'll move on. I will just insert one piece of business that I forgot to deal with in my excitement to be here is the adoption of the minutes. So we're just going to go back to 2.1 and just see if there's any changes or additions to the minutes from committee members from our previous meeting. Councillor Getty?
I'll move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Getty, seconded by Liam. All in favor, raise your hand. And the minutes are adopted. Jumping back to new business section 5.1, window safety markings opportunity for open call to community artists. I will look to our manager of recreation again.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. So this is a short slide deck that was presented to the Public Art Advisory Committee last week to discuss this project idea. Oh, sorry. So you're probably very familiar with safety markings on glass. Any glass that is floor to ceiling. By code, in order to get occupancy, there must be safety markings on the glass. So this slide that I'm showing you here, this is not our facility. These are just examples of different options of what it may look like. So started thinking about, well, there's opportunity for community to be involved in this idea in some way. So because we could potentially, choose off the shelf markings to go on the glass, or at the same cost, as this is already an item that is in contract, in the scope of the contract, we can provide digital artwork that is then used. It's a vinyl application that is used for these and to put on the windows and doors. So the Public Art Advisory Committee would like to take on this project and put a call out to artists with very, very specific criteria as to what this art could look like. And in further conversations with the architects, they think probably the best solution is to choose a circle image that is then replicated across. So then you're not, because the window and door expanses are of different widths, creating a band that would then have to be cut would then alter the image and may not flow as smoothly. So they're still working on getting those specifications, mostly to ensure that it stays within the contractual obligation that we have with the constructor. So, but the idea being there's many areas of glass in the building. So if you look at this image, so for example, the front doors, as we come up through the entry plaza and turn left, those front doors and the side panels on each of the vestibule doors are glass. They'll require markings. This is glass, this expansive glass looking into the gallery. Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry, can't click on it. There's various locations, both exterior windows and doors and interior glazing within the offices that will require this work. So the committee is interested in putting out this call to community and selecting some artwork. I think the selection of that artwork would actually need to involve one of the architects, because the idea with this is, is that it's something that's visible but not dominating that expanse of glass, is particularly if you can imagine coming up to the front of the building. The selection of the artwork needs to be the right imagery for this. So if this committee is in favor of this idea, the Public Art Committee would like to create that call and send it out to artists. They would absorb the honorarium that would go to the artists for the artwork that's selected. And then we would bring the chosen art back to this committee for that final approval before going forth with the architects on that.
Thank you, Jillian.
So.
Any questions or comments from the committee about this? Don't see any. So there is a recommendation here in 5.1 either to endorse or not endorse the Public Art Advisory Committee, continuing to investigate possibilities. I see Councillor Getty with a hand up.
I'm on the Public Art Committee, and the other people on the committee were quite excited about this. So there is some energy behind it. It's we talked about all the terms of reference and how to go about the call. So it is something that would fit within the time frame, and it would be more fun to have something that local rather than off the shelf. It's another opportunity for art.
Okay. Go ahead, Steph.
Can I suggest that we include Julian's advice about recommending the architect, an architect be involved? Because we do have criteria in the public art policy of who would be on the panel. So if this committee is recommending that the architect is on the panel, adjudication panel, Julian, no?
I think that would be a good addition to make.
Move an
Go ahead.
amendment then to add architect in there for endorsement.
I don't think the motion's been moved yet, has it?
No, it hasn't been moved yet. I'm just looking for a good place to insert the architect piece. So that the Community Center Select Steering Committee endorse the Public Art Advisory Committee continuing to investigate possibilities regarding opportunities to involve community artists in the existing contractual obligation to install safety markings on floor to ceiling windows and doors in the community center building, and that the Community Center Select Steering Committee recommend that the project architect be included.
A project architect, or there are a few, right?
Sure. A project architect be
Included in the adjudication panel.
sure, or in this initiative. That I'll look for a mover for that motion. Moved by Councillor Getty, second by Councillor Morse. Is that a second, Councillor Morse, or any discussion here?
No, it was a second.
Okay, great. So it's been moved and seconded. I will look. Looks as if Steph has put that in the chat as well. So any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, raise your hand.
Right.
And that carries. Thank you.
Neat.
Yay. Fun with feel good projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then in other business, 5.3, move to a closed meeting. Can I have someone move the recommendation? Move to a closed meeting, moved by Councillor Getty, seconded by Councillor Morse. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Boom. And that carries.